今晚我们呈现一个深入的特别报道，涵盖唐纳德·特朗普的非凡回归。他现在将成为美国第47任总统。
Tonight, we present an in-depth edition covering the extraordinary return of Donald Trump, now set to become the 47th President of the United States.
这次选举是前所未有的，标志着一位政治人物的回归。他在各种困难中经历了现代美国历史上最激烈的反对。
This election is unprecedented, marking the comeback of a political figure who, against all odds, has weathered some of the most intense opposition in modern American history.
在2020年失利后，面对2次弹劾，承受多项刑事指控，甚至幸存于2次刺杀企图，唐纳德·特朗普通过在关键的战场州击败副总统贺锦丽，重新夺回总统职位。
After losing in 2020, facing 2 impeachments, enduring multiple criminal charges, and even surviving 2 assassination attempts, Donald Trump has reclaimed the presidency by defeating Vice President Kamala Harris in critical battleground states.
他的竞选活动专注于经济挑战、移民问题和分裂的国家局势，与不断扩大的支持者联盟产生共鸣。
His campaign focused intently on the economic challenges, immigration concerns, and a divided national landscape, resonating with an expanding coalition of supporters.
在他的胜利演讲中，当选总统特朗普承诺要团结国家，实现他所称的美国的黄金时代。
In his victory speech, President-elect Trump promised to unify the nation and deliver what he calls the golden age of America.
副总统贺锦丽已正式承认选举结果，但强调他将继续为激励他竞选的议题而奋斗。
Vice President Harris has formally conceded, acknowledging the election results, but underscoring her intention to continue the fight for the issues that energized her campaign.
当我们今晚分析结果时，我们看到共和党的成功不仅限于总统职位，共和党还翻转了参议院的控制权。这一举措预示着立法格局的进一步变化。
As we break down the results tonight, we see that the Republican Party's success was not limited to the presidency. The GOP also flipped control of the Senate, a move that promises to further shift the legislative landscape.
随着共和党主导的参议院，甚至可能还有众议院在望，当选总统特朗普实现其竞选承诺的道路更加坚实。
With a Republican-dominated Senate and potentially even the House within reach, President-elect Trump's path to delivering on his campaign promises is fortified.
他打算实施的政策和变革，从移民改革到经济调整，可能会在国内和美国在世界舞台上的地位上带来重大变化。
The policies and changes he intends to implement, from immigration reforms to economic adjustments, could signal major shifts not only domestically, but also in terms of the U.S.'s position on the world stage.
这一历史时刻不仅关乎一位候选人的胜利，更是美国政治的全面重塑。选民发出了明确的信息，拒绝现状，选择特朗普承诺恢复经济和社会稳定。
This historic moment is not only about one candidate's victory, but a sweeping reshaping of American politics as voters have sent a clear message, rejecting the status quo and opting for Trump's promise to restore economic and social stability.
对许多美国人来说，这次选举不仅仅是政治问题。
For many Americans, this election was about more than politics.
特朗普重返公职是一个重要时刻，反映出来自工人阶级选民、拉丁裔及其他人群的巨大支持。这些人在过去几年中感到与华盛顿的政策越来越脱节。
Trump's return to office is a significant moment, reflecting a massive groundswell of support, especially from working-class voters, Latinos, and other demographics who, over the past years, have felt increasingly disconnected from the policies coming out of Washington.
特朗普的竞选活动专注于民生问题，优先解决通胀、创造就业和边境安全的解决方案。
Trump's campaign focused on bread and butter issues, prioritizing solutions for inflation, job creation, and security at the border.
他的讯息引起了那些将这些议题视为日常生活关键的人的共鸣。
His message resonated with individuals who saw these topics as crucial to their everyday lives.
尽管最初存在怀疑， 但支持特朗普2016年首次竞选的联盟不仅保持不变，还有所增长，证明他与美国选民的广泛联系依然强大。
Despite initial skepticism, the coalition that backed Trump's first campaign in 2016 has not only held but grown, proving that he maintains a powerful connection with a broad swath of the American electorate.
我们的报道将探讨这次选举提出的关键问题。
Our coverage will explore key questions raised by this election.
首先，贺锦丽和民主党究竟出了什么问题？
First, what exactly went wrong for Harris and the Democrats?
前副总统及其政党面临重大障碍，从高通胀和移民问题到许多政治分析家所认为的未能有效接触工人阶级选民。
The former vice president and her party encountered significant obstacles, from high inflation and immigration concerns to what many political analysts suggest was a failure to effectively reach out to working-class voters.
由于与拜登政府的政策紧密结合，贺锦丽面临艰难的挑战，特别是在持续对高通胀和能源价格的不满情绪下。
By aligning closely with the Biden administration's policies, Harris faced an uphill battle, particularly given the ongoing dissatisfaction with issues such as high inflation and energy prices.
越来越多的选民表达了对经济状况的担忧，对不断上升的生活成本的挣扎，以及他们认为的宽松移民政策所带来的挑战。
A growing number of voters voiced their concerns over the state of the economy, their struggles with rising costs, and the challenges posed by what they saw as lax immigration policies.
许多民主党人和独立分析家现在反思民主党是否与美国人口中的一个重要部分脱节，特别是在经济和社会问题成为焦点的情况下。
Many Democrats and independent analysts are now reflecting on whether the Democratic Party has lost touch with a significant portion of the American population, especially as economic and social issues took center stage.
在贺锦丽承认败选之后，政治焦点现在转向特朗普领导下的国家未来。
In the wake of Harris's concession, the political focus now shifts to what comes next for the country under Trump's leadership.
今晚，我们将更仔细地看看他提出的政策，我们可能期待的立法变化，以及这一政府的回归对热点问题，包括移民和经济，可能意味着什么。
Tonight, we'll take a closer look at his proposed policies, the legislative changes we might expect, and what this administration's return could mean for hot-button issues, including immigration and the economy.
特朗普提出的政策，如扩大国内能源生产、减税和优先考虑边境安全，将成为近期最具影响力的政策之一。
Trump's proposed policies, such as expanding domestic energy production, cutting taxes, and prioritizing border security, are set to be some of the most consequential in recent history.
特别是他承诺开始全面改革移民系统，这可能涉及旨在减少国内无证移民数量的重大驱逐措施。
In particular, he has promised to begin a comprehensive overhaul of the immigration system, which could involve significant deportation measures aimed at reducing the number of undocumented immigrants in the country.
这些行动预计将引发支持和反对，因为他们触及了当今国家最深刻分歧的问题之一。
These actions are expected to spark both support and opposition, as they touch on one of the most deeply divided issues in the nation today.
特朗普的回归之路绝非平坦，这不仅凸显了他竞选的韧性，也显示了美国政治的潮流变化。
The road to Trump's comeback was anything but smooth, and it highlights not only the resilience of his campaign, but also the shifting tides of American politics.
在过去几年中，他面临持续的法律斗争，并经常被媒体和政治对手描绘成负面形象。
Through the past years, he faced ongoing legal battles and was often portrayed in a negative light by media outlets and his political opponents.
尽管面临这些挑战，他仍然持续接触选民，在全国各地举行集会，强调他对所谓的“美国优先”政策的承诺。
Despite these challenges, he continued to reach out to voters, holding rallies across the country and underscoring his commitment to what he calls America First policies.
从应对通胀到保护边境，特朗普承诺重返传统价值观、经济独立和强大的国家安全。
From tackling inflation to securing the border, Trump has promised a return to traditional values, economic independence, and strong national security.
在他的接受演讲中，当选总统特朗普采取了一种一些观察者形容为惊人团结的语调，呼吁国家在多年分裂后团结起来。
In his acceptance speech, President-elect Trump struck a tone that some observers described as surprisingly unifying, calling for the country to come together after years of division.
特朗普强调，他的重点是所有美国人，而不仅仅是他的支持者，并承诺以包容的愿景来治理一个繁荣、安全的美国。
Trump emphasized that his focus is on all Americans, not just his supporters, and pledged to govern with an inclusive vision for a prosperous, secure America.
他鼓励团结，并提醒美国人，在追求更强大、更安全的国家的过程中，互相支持的重要性。
He encouraged unity and reminded Americans of the importance of supporting each other in the quest for a stronger, more secure nation.
他关于需要美国的黄金时代的声明强调了他对国家潜力的信念，他承诺不懈努力实现这一愿景。
His statement about the need for a golden age of America underscores his belief in the country's potential, and he promised to work tirelessly to bring that vision to life.
副总统贺锦丽在他的承认演讲中承认了选举结果，但留了一扇开门，表明他和他的支持者将继续为他们的价值观而奋斗。
Vice President Harris, in her concession speech, acknowledged the election outcome but left an open door, indicating that she and her supporters would continue fighting for their values.
这一承认代表了一种象征性的转变，因为民主党内部开始反思出现的问题，以及他们可能需要如何重新调整信息。
This acknowledgement represents a symbolic shift as the Democrats look inward, reflecting on what went wrong and how they might need to recalibrate their message.
贺锦丽决定继续倡导他竞选的原则，即使在总统职位之外，这表明民主党在未来几年可能会看到一些重大变化，因为他试图重新调整与基层优先事项和国家需求的关系。
Harris's decision to keep advocating for her campaign's principles, even outside the confines of the presidency, suggests that the Democratic Party might see some significant changes in the coming years as it seeks to realign itself with the priorities of its base and the needs of the country.
展望未来，特朗普政府的过渡团队已经开始准备。特朗普和他的顾问们开始选择新的内阁，并塑造将定义他第二任期的政策。
Looking ahead, the Trump administration's transition team is already preparing as Trump and his advisors begin selecting a new cabinet and shaping the policies that will define his second term.
初步报道显示，特朗普可能会依赖他前任政府的几位关键盟友，同时也引入新面孔，以推进他的雄心勃勃的议程。
Initial reports indicate that Trump is likely to lean on several key allies from his previous administration, while also bringing in new faces to drive forward his ambitious agenda.
在他优先考虑的事项中，将包括推翻前任政府实施的许多经济政策，启动旨在促进就业增长的税制改革，以及改革医疗保健系统，以改善可及性和可负担性。
Among the priorities at the top of his list are reversing many of the economic policies put in place by the previous administration, initiating tax reforms aimed at boosting job growth, and overhauling the healthcare system to improve accessibility and affordability.
与此同时，全球市场对特朗普的胜利做出了积极反应，因为投资者预期将回归轻商政策，放松管制和减税。
Meanwhile, global markets responded positively to Trump's victory, as investors anticipate a return to pro-business policies, deregulation, and tax cuts.
对美国经济政策稳定的期待已经导致股市出现积极走势。随着企业为预期在特朗普领导下将更加有利的监管环境做好准备，还有进一步增长的潜力。
The anticipation of stability in U.S. economic policy has already led to positive movement in the stock market, with the potential for further gains as businesses prepare for a regulatory environment that they expect to be more favorable under Trump's leadership.
经济专家持谨慎乐观的态度，认为特朗普的政策可能为国家提供所需的推动，特别是如果他能兑现恢复制造业工作和降低能源成本的承诺。
Economic experts are cautiously optimistic, suggesting that Trump's policies could provide the boost the country needs, particularly if he follows through on pledges to bring back manufacturing jobs and reduce energy costs.
随着民主党重新整顿并检视这次选举的教训，政治格局可能会发生变化。
As the Democratic Party regroups and examines the lessons from this election, the political landscape is likely to shift.
分析人士认为，该党需要解决选民提出的担忧，才能在共和党主导的行政和立法机构面前保持相关性。
Analysts suggest that the party will need to address the concerns raised by voters if it hopes to remain relevant in the face of a Republican-led executive and legislative branch.
民主党领导层的优先事项之一将是重新评估他们的选民参与策略，特别是在工人阶级和少数族裔群体中，这些群体对特朗普的议程表现出更高的支持。
High on the list of priorities for the Democratic leadership will be reevaluating their approach to voter engagement, particularly among working class and minority groups who showed increased support for Trump's agenda.
随着民主党调整其策略，该党的未来可能取决于其在经济安全、社会稳定和国家自豪感等问题上与选民的联系能力。
As the Democrats adjust their strategy, the future of the party may depend on its ability to connect with voters on issues of economic security, social stability, and national pride.
总之，特朗普重返总统职位标志着美国历史新篇章的开始。
In conclusion, Trump's return to the presidency signals the start of a new chapter in American history.
随着共和党现在控制参议院，并在众议院中占据强势地位，特朗普政府将拥有推进其议程所需的支持。
With Republicans now in control of the Senate and holding a strong position in the House, the Trump administration will have the support it needs to pursue its agenda aggressively.
未来4年可能会带来政策和方向的重大变化，因为美国重新定义其在世界中的地位，加强其经济，并专注于保护其边界。
The next 4 years are likely to bring significant changes in policy and direction as the U.S. redefines its place in the world, strengthens its economy, and focuses on securing its borders.
这次选举强调了满足普通美国人需求和关切的重要性，而特朗普政府所设定的方向预计将在其任期之外引起共鸣。
This election has underscored the importance of addressing the needs and concerns of everyday Americans, and the direction set by the Trump administration is expected to resonate well beyond its time in office.
展望未来，我们被提醒民主选举的变革力量。
As we look to the future, we are reminded of the transformative power of democratic elections.
人民的声音已被听见，国家的方向已经踏上新路。
The voice of the people has been heard, and the course of the nation is set on a new path.
感谢您加入我们的特别版夜间新闻。
Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Nightly News.